Portions of today's Advent meditation is taken from Genesis chapter 21 verses 1 to 21. Advent is all about learning to do something most of us hate, but that God often makes us do, and that is to wait. Find the blessings in waiting on the arrival of Jesus Christ. We are learning in this season that God has designed His blessings to come through waiting. During this season, we are looking at Abraham and Sarah in the Old Testament when people were waiting for the arrival of God's promise and blessings. This story is the fulfillment of a long story of waiting for God's promise. And there were the times when they were, let's just say, more fearful than faithful, and that's true even after Isaac was born. We learn from their experience that when God makes a promise, it's as good as done from the moment He speaks it. I want you to understand that this isn't about waiting on just any old thing. This is about waiting only on what God has promised. The rest of the passage can be broken down into Abraham's response, Sarah's response, and from each of those responses, I want us to see the ways to find joy in waiting. Abraham's response tried strategizing for the joy of the submission. Verse 3 to 4. If you look at it, is very specific in the wording. Abraham called the name of his son, whom was born to him, whom Sarah bore him, Isaac. We need to see the uniqueness of this. Abraham's tendency, which is very common to humanity, is to think he needs to strategize a solution to secure God's promise instead of submitting to God's plan to fulfill His promise. And this leads to hurting a bitterness in his wife. All kinds of irrelational consequences with Hagar and Ishmael, and God merciful protects everyone involved all throughout their lives. But what Abraham needed to do was trade all of his strategizing for the joy of submitting. God had a plan of incredible joy for Abraham, a son that only God could provide. And God told Abraham to name that son Isaac, which means he loved. And that's because Abraham laughed at the thought of what God said he was going to do 1 year earlier when He said Sarah was going to bear him a son in his old age. God knows that His promise leads to superior joy. God didn't need Abraham to strategize. He wanted his submission. And sometimes, even when he didn't submit, God still blessed him because God is a merciful God. I think of Joseph at the time of the first Christmas. He had the same temptation to strategize when he heard about Mary's pregnancy. He had the same temptation to strategize when he heard about Mary's pregnancy. He didn't want to harm her, but he couldn't see a way forward. So he thought to divorce her quietly, and the angel of the Lord came and said, "No, I want you to stay in this. I am working out my promise here." And Joseph submitted to God and became the adoptive father of the Son of God. Look at the verses 5 again. Abraham was 100-year-old when his son Isaac was born to him, and Sarah said, "God has made laughter for me." Next, Sarah's response, trade doubting for the joy of dependence. Verses 5 to 6. Sarah did what was natural for 90-year-old woman to do when she heard she is going to have a baby. She laughed and said, "The Lord said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, shall have a son." and Sarah was listening at the tent door behind him. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I am worn out, and my Lord is old, shall I have pleasure?" Now it's clear that this is a laugh of doubt, because the Lord responds. Sarah was called out for her doubting laughter. Nothing was impossible with God. He was going to do what only He could do. And she had to come to Him in faith because she was utterly dependent upon Him to work. And when the baby was born, that dependence erupted into even more laughter now than she laid eyes on the object of God's promise. Here, what we learn, we can delight in the promise itself because we know that the promise giver is faithful. We don't have to wait until the promise is obtained to receive the joy of promise. God made the promise to save all those who put their faith in Jesus. Trade your doubt for the joy of dependence. Identify your doubt. Identify what God has actually promised, and then depend upon that promise. Trade your doubt for the joy of dependence. When I read this, I think of the Virgin Mary bearing up under the shame of pregnancy out of the wedlock. But in the midst of what looks like shame to everyone else, she and Joseph have the opportunity to see the power of the Most High in her life. Mary is rejoicing in this fact that she was of lowly estate, and God showed up in His power of her behalf. You can choose to look at your weakness and hide it and be ashamed of it and receive the shame of others as true. Or you can see your weakness as God sees it, an opportunity to show Him His power. Joy comes when we view our shame as an opportunity for seeing the power of God. When you truly surrender to God, He did His work and gave you freedom. But God has shown up and provided for you and fulfilled His promise in your weakness, and you can now boost His power. First, you need to learn to see the weakness as an opportunity for God's power. Then you need to boost in that weakness in such a way that helps others see the power of the God. There is an incurable joy that comes over us when the things that would cause us shame become opportunity to see the glory of God instead. But God is insanely powerful. Abraham and Sarah learned to trust the God in His promise, and joy that they found was evident to all. Will it be evident to all who look at your life? Will you allow them to see your joy in God's power?